JD Vance and Tim Walz are debating just on Tuesday, just in a couple days, Tuesday, October 1st. Could be an incredibly important debate, as it looks like Kamala Harris and Donald Trump aren't even going to debate again. So this will be like the last impression that voters have before the election on November 5th. So reports are, though, that Tim Walz apparently is nervous. This is from Colin Rugg here on Twitter. Says Tim Walz is nervous about his debate with JD Vance as Pete Buttigieg is filling in. Walz had previously warned Harris that he was not a good debater, apparently. And then CNN reports Walz is worried he will let Harris down, according to campaign staffers. That's quite incredible stuff. We'll see here. The CNN article itself says, heading into the vice presidential debate, Tim Walz is fighting nerves. I mean, pretty incredible. And I think this is going to be a very important debate. So I think Tim Walz, this could be certainly true that he's feeling a lot of pressure, because the race, if you look at betting markets, I checked Polymarket just this morning, and Kamala's 50% chance to win. Trump is 49%, so almost could not be closer. Tim Walz telling people he's just as nervous about facing JD Vance as he was the Sunday afternoon in August when he warned Kamala Harris in his Running Mate interview that he was a bad debater. Wow. Maybe more nervous, according to multiple people who have spoken to him. And the pressure is even higher when, for the first time in modern campaign history, the vice presidential debate Tuesday is likely to be the marquee event before election day. Exactly, that's what I said. So, I mean, that's got to be weighing on these guys' minds. And there are a lot of people I've seen online that say, like, that JD Vance is a really good debater. So we will see what happens. If this reporting is true, I don't know. I think either way, this will be a must-see television. And I pulled a couple clips here. So I got and I haven't even watched these yet. So this is just me basically randomly picking a spot just to briefly look at how JD Vance and Tim Walz are in their past debates. This is JD Vance in a Senate debate. So we'll take a look at this here.
What do you think they want for that? They want your loyalty. And you proved that you'll kiss their ass too.
You've taken tens of millions of dollars, Tim, from technology companies, from out-of-state money. What percent of your donors have come from the state of Ohio? A very small share. His entire campaign is based on sucking up to the national Democratic establishment. And of course they support you, Tim, because you support their policies 100%. Now here's what happened. He says he challenged Nancy Pelosi for leadership, but then he goes on national TV and says that he loves.
So I just think JD Vance has an incredible command of issues, and the campaign to kind of frame him as weird and pull up all those childless cat lady remarks at the beginning was actually very effective by Kamala and her team. That you could see in JD Vance's like approval rating, he did have a pretty bad approval rating for a while. I haven't looked at it in a bit, but I've been very impressed actually with JD Vance since then. Like, he didn't come out of the gates super hot. I think that perhaps rattled him a little bit, but when he talks about economy, he does a way better job, in my opinion, actually, of explaining the benefit of voting for Trump when it comes to the economy. Trump loves talking about immigration. I think JD Vance is incredibly clear. He has lots of the facts and figures just memorized in his head. He can spit them out whenever he wants. And even just look at him in this debate here. Like, I think he looks incredibly comfortable with what he's saying here.
Loves her. Is that the price of challenging Nancy Pelosi?
The quote of me saying, I love Nancy Pelosi,
so I'm just gonna skip ahead till where JD's talking again.
And shoots him up. The exhausted.
Here's exactly what happens when the media and people like Tim Ryan accuse me of engaging the great replacement theory. I'll tell you exactly what happens, Tim. What happens is that my own children, my biracial children, get attacked by scumbags online and in person because you are so desperate for political power that you'll accuse me, the father of 3 beautiful biracial babies, of engaging in racism. We are sick of it. You can believe in
That's a pretty powerful rebuttal. And I think, like, the other person, I think they believe that's Tim Ryan. I mean, that's pretty tough.
Order without being a racist. You can believe in the country without being a racist. And this just shows how desperate this guy is for political power.
I think that's pretty good, actually. Like, look at the way he's standing there at the end. Tim Ryan.
Without being a racist. And this just...
the look on his face there. So, I don't know if Tim Walz, like... We'll see. We got a clip from Tim Walz here now. We'll play of him in a debate. Again, I've never watched this, but just the look on his face, I don't know that I would say he looks as comfortable as JD Vance.
This doesn't happen in other countries. And this plague of violence we see, and I will make the case that these school shootings of children who can't even be identified because of the damage that's been done by these shooters that end in their schools. There's things that we can do. One of the first things we can do is making sure, and every one of my budgets did increase the opportunity for public safety. We had a $450 million budget this year that that was killed in the legislature when Scott told the Republican.
And so again, I have never even watched this clip. I just clicked on basically the first time I could see that Tim Walz was going to be speaking. He sounds pretty nervous to me. Let me know in the comments what you think.
Legislator to step away from that. That's money that we increased in LGA to.
Like he's doing the, I do this too, but he's doing the and.
Allow for more. But it's much more than that. We have guns on the streets that were meant for war. We have the opportunity to do smart things, whether it be background checks or making sure we have red flag laws. In many of these cases, once we go back and deconstruct this, the easy access to these firearms is one of the problems. We see that in our streets today. A shooting at the truck park.
So he's getting a little bit better now. I'm going to kind of skip ahead to see the next time he talks and see how he, just to get at least like 2 clips of him talking.
Legal today. I'm glad the government was there to make that decision that we could work together. And I can tell you, this idea that teachers or that farmers or that miners don't want to do things right and they just want people out of the way is simply ridiculous. We know that we set standards to make sure that we keep those, and we've done that in northern Minnesota. I've been very clear on all these processes. We will follow the science, we will follow the law, and we will do that in a manner that makes sure that we're able to do them safely and able to produce what we're going to produce. We followed that process in one of the largest construction projects in northern Minnesota.
Produce what we're going to produce.
And we know that there's a trade-off, and you have to be careful with environmental standards, but you can create these jobs. So this idea is simply, you're hearing it a lot tonight, what's not happening are complaints rather than real solutions. Watching spades go in the ground up there and watching the Keetac mine now be solid again, making sure that those hundreds of jobs stay there. That's what our administration has done. It's the reason we have the lowest unemployment rate in the history of this country, the second highest labor participation rates, and some of the highest.
So this answer was better, again, towards the end. The beginning, he was just sort of saying nothing, but now it's getting a little bit better. We'll go one more just to see how it goes.
Found this. They alerted the FBI. Now, it's an ongoing investigation. I guess we'll get more clarity once they start to come to that. But I think one of the things that's important here, and I will.
So I don't know. I don't know that this. I don't know that I would say Tim Walz is doing terrible here. I mean, it's not maybe a debate where, like the JD Vance clip was better because you could see him actually kind of going back and forth with the other person, Tim Ryan. This debate here looks more like the debates that they've set up so far for the candidates, where it's just one person speaks, then one person also speaks. And by the way, I'm actually pretty sure. I'll say this, and if I'm wrong, I'll cut it out, but the mics are hot on the vice presidential debate. Different than the debate with Joe Biden and Kamala against Trump. Their mics are going to be on, so I think there will be more opportunities to cut each other off. But I don't know. I don't think Tim Walz has been awful in here. If I had to pick, though, being unbiased, I think from the clips we saw of JD Vance and the clips we saw of Tim Walz, JD Vance looks, to me, a lot more confident. He's more sure of what he's saying. Tim Walz almost looks like he's just using more words than he needs to try to kind of get through the time. JD Vance looks like he knows exactly what he's going to say. He just makes it concise, goes right back at, in that case, Tim Ryan. But so I don't know. I'd say that the edge would be to JD Vance from these clips I've seen. And then my prediction will be JD Vance will do better in the debate than Tim Walz, but who knows? So anyway, with that said, let me know your thoughts in the comments on any of this. Are you going to be watching the debate or not? Either way, thank you for watching. Have a great day.